Hello, everybody. We are back, and we are getting so close to the end of this chair. It's looking really awesome. I actually think it's better than the original one. So now we've got our solid, which is super awesome. And one thing we want to do next is actually scale it to the right size, because so far we've been working just in this weird size. You know, we don't really actually know what it is. So I'm going to come to my views here, and generally most chairs at this point are around 18 inches. I do. So in my chair, I'm also a little taller, so it's right around 19 or so, but 18 is generally a good starting point. And generally what size it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it, and if you just type in the scale command, that's actually scale 3D, and I'm going to type in 0, and you know, this point has generally stayed the same, so I wonder if I can reference just that point. No. But what we can do is we'll just bring it up, and oh, well, now it is because I'm intersecting it. Click there, and I'm going to type in 18. Boom. Okay, that is from perspective view. So it's really a wide chair, actually. If I type in bounding box and hit enter, it's going to kind of generate this giant box that encompasses all of the geometry, and I can measure from there what size it is. If I don't want a box, what I can do is when I do bounding box, I can output just curves or none. None should give me the relative size, which I'll have to fade my little window, but I can see here that the dimensions are 47 by 51 by 53. So generally that's in the X direction first. So it's about 50 or so inches wide, which is rather a large chair. Wow, that is like a huge chair. So it's more like, that doesn't seem right, 51. I'm going to have to check that. Anyway, this is the time to check the size of your chair. Transform, analyze distance. Let's change this view. Oh, I guess not right now. But we'll say generally here to here. And yeah, that's rather large. That's looking like a pretty big chair. 54 inches. Generally, chairs are going to be right around, 23 inches, 20 to 23 inches, and this is more than twice that size. So, what we'll do is we'll probably just scale it down again. Maybe we won't make it so large in what we can do. You could also, if you really wanted to, you could squeeze it, but that doesn't look as good in my opinion. Looks like it's turning into a toilet. But there are options, and I'm just gonna go back and transform it. Transform, scale, 3D, 0. I'm going to come out here, which is about 5 inches. And I'm going to make that about 10 inches. I will make it like a little bit bigger. Why don't we make it like a nice big chair and say, let's do 30. So that'll be 15. And it'll just be a low chair. It'll be like one of those really low, comfy chairs. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Let's go from there. And now what we can do is we can start drawing up some lines. So right now I've got in my layers folder or layers window, I've got my OG forms, which are probably still there, but shrunken. And I need to move this to a different form. So I'm just going to put here, final seat form. And move this object to there. Just doing a little cleanup, you know, it's always good to do from time to time. I don't need this layer anymore. Delete layer. And I'm going to hide this, and then I'm just going to move that base geometry into the OG forms. Layer, perfecto. And then I'm going to come up and make a new layer, and I'll make that for my surfaces for my second form. Form 2. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to type in surfaces for the U direction, or I could say the X direction, whatever you prefer. Oh, wait. Surfaces in the Y direction. And then I can say surfaces in the Z direction. And what's going to help me generate these is a command called contour. All right. So why don't we work in the Y direction right now? And I'm going to generate the surfaces or the lines, the cross sections of this going in the Y direction. So it's going to slice sort of as if we're looking onto it right now. And I say that that's the Y direction because I'm going to draw my contour line in the, or point it into the Y direction. All right, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to type contour and select objects. I'm going to select this big, nice chair, and then it's asking me for a base point, and I'm just going to type in 0 as my base point, and then hold shift so it aligns with the Y axes in this viewport. And I don't really need to have to give it a length at the moment. This is just essentially to determine direction. Hit that, and then up here it's going to ask me distance between curves. And I'm going to type in 2. And as you notice, we've remember we've been working relatively within the XY coordinate plane in the home so that things are symmetric along the XZ plane or the X axis, which is nice. And the reason I chose that base point was so that I know that there's going to be a contour line going through the center of this, which for this direction is very important because we want cross sections, we want more pieces going through this backrest because then they'll make it stronger. All right, so we've got 2 assigned to, let's see, well, let's work in this layer now so we can assign layers to the current layer. And join curves by polysurface by contour plane. Let's do by contour plane. And then we're going to do point, or no, let's do 2 inches. It's a pretty good one. And I'm going to hit done. And it's going to generate those curves. And look at that. Yeah, that's a pretty nice slew of curves. Let's see, just to make sure. Yes, they are in there, which is great. I'm going to hide this for a second. And oh, we can see that they're open a little bit on the bottom. I wonder why. Because they should be interesting. Let's redo that. And the reason I want to redo it is so that I can get a closed. Oh, it is closed. I bet you it is closed. And the one way we're going to find out is we're going to do planar surface. Yep. Okay. So this is actually just a glitch in my graphics card because my graphics card is, well, this computer is old. So what I can do is now that I'm working in the XYZ, or I'm working in the Z surface, wow, I am actually should be in the X. No, Y. Wow. It is Sunday. I'm, yes, working on a Sunday. I hope, I hope you are all doing much better than I am on a Sunday. Move objects to this layer. Okay. Now what I can do is I can select all of these and then I can do planar surface. And that should make all of those a planar surface. which is great. So then what I'm going to do is just hide those and work in the Y. And you guessed it, I'm just going to go in the opposite direction. And I'm going to re-show my original form, go back to contour, and select this guy. Select 0. This direction now, I'm going to work in the X direction, and 2 is perfect. And we've got our pieces here, which is great. Now, one thing that I am seeing that we're probably gonna change is we're not going to use these cross sections up here in the headrest. And that has to do more with the structure of the object. And it just looks kind of weird having those there. I'm just going to delete those. And why I care about the structure is so that it can actually have some more support here and on the headrest itself. Because if I look at this, I want honeycombs to be sort of going through this. If I turn my Y layer on, you can see, I want squares and things to make this more structural support because the weight is going to go on this area right here. And so it's going to, when those different sections are perpendicular to each other, it's going to be much more stronger structure. Whereas back here, not so much with those previous cross sections that I got rid of. So the force is going to act on it in this direction, in this plane. And what I want to do is create some cross sections going up in the Z direction only for the headrest. Okay, I hope that wasn't too confusing. I'm just going to come in here, I'm going to do planar surfaces. And what you can do is if you don't like where your planar surfaces land, like here, that's a little kind of small and pointless. It's not really going to do much. It could benefit from being in just a little bit more. So what might be a good idea is either to just add a whole separate section yourself or to offset those contours again in the first place. So why don't we just do that? Just to go through the process, it'll be good to see it again. Contour, this object, 0 is my base point, but nope, I don't want my base point to be 0. What I want to do is change that to be somewhere else. So I'm going to go to top view, and I'm going to offset it by 1 inch. So I'm going to say -1 in the X direction, 0 and 0. So it'll start off. I mean, I guess I could have also turned grid snap on. And 2 inches, and there we go. And we can see that that front panel now is nice. It's much bigger. It's a little cleaner. I think that'll be a lot better. And that's even better back here. So that transition has nice sections in the Y direction, and we can get rid of some of those. So that's a lot better. So something to keep out for with your own chair. And so I'm going to hide our form, delete those objects in the headrest, and then planar surface these. Perfect. Look at that. I'm going to just delete those lines because I don't really need them. This guy's kind of a little useless, but that's okay. We'll leave him for now. So we've got this guy too, and look at that. That's coming along really well. That's looking pretty good. Our base looks nice and firm and sturdy. We still see the form, which is super cool. And now we'll do the Z. And what we might do is we might have the Z start somewhere around here in this area. So I'm going to turn my form back on, hide those other 2 layers while working in the surface of the Z layer, and I'm going to go to my front view. And then again, contour, select this guy, hit enter, and my base point is going to be, it can be outside the object as well, but I'm going to say maybe we start right around here. And then we'll hit enter. Something also above our chair zone right here, because that's where the X and Y surfaces are mostly. Here, oh, of course I don't follow my own advice. So we'll go here, there, 2 inches is great. And we can see there. Now what we can do is I'm just going to delete everything below here because we don't need it. And I can go into my perspective view. That's looking pretty good. We'll do the planar surface, delete those curves because I really don't need them. And let's look at it all. Oh yeah, that's a perfect spot for it right there. Nice, good deal. Now this, you might find that this might not be necessary, this one back here. But that's something we'll just have to test out and play with. But I'm thinking that's looking pretty great. Now if I wanted to make these a solid, I could extrude them. It's not actually necessary. In the next video, something that's actually a supplemental video more for our projects than for our labs, is discussing how we can make the slots. Similar to our last lab, our previous lab, where we were working with the lamp. So I hope this video was enjoyable. I hope you got a good idea of how you could make this structure. From here on out, it's making those slots, laying it down, and then cutting it out. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon.